Most people think the way to quick porn is to avoid urges, fight them off, or distract yourself until they pass. But that only works for a while. Eventually, the pressure builds and you cave again. In this video, I'm going to teach you a completely different way to handle a strong porn urge. Not by resisting it, not by indulging it, but by processing it. This is one of the most life-changing tools I teach inside my coaching program because when you stop feeling urges and actually know how to handle them in the moment, everything changes. You don't need blockers, you don't need perfect self-control, and you definitely don't need to start over every time you mess up. Today I show you how to sit with an urge without shame, without panic, just calm, clear awareness. And I show you how to start tracking real progress using a new system I call the Urge Practice Tracker. No more obsessively counting clean days, no more on or nothing thinking, just one urge at a time with real emotional skill. Let's get into it. Before we talk about how to actually process an urge, I want to walk you through something really important first. Let's look at what our options are. What are the ways most people deal with urges when they come up? From what I've seen in my own life and in coaching hundreds of others, there are three common responses. The first is resisting. Resisting is that tightening, pushing away, trying to pretend the urge isn't there. It sounds like, nope, I don't want to feel this. I need to distract myself. This shouldn't be happening. Just go away. It's usually fear-based. We're afraid of what the urge means. We're afraid of where it might lead, so we clench up, we try to use willpower, we hope it passes. And I want to say this is very normal. A lot of us were trained to do this. You might have even picked it up from well-meaning parents, mentors, or religious teachers. They didn't want you to struggle, so they taught you to fight it, to push it away, to stay clean. But that's resistance. And when we resist, we stay stuck in the same loop. We never actually learn to feel it. Now the second thing we do is distract. We reach for something else to take the edge off. And in this context, you might reach for something like YouTube, music, food, scrolling, even the gym. It's still an escape. It's still reinforcing the same loop in the brain. And again, some of these distractions might even look healthy. But if we're using them to avoid feeling something, we're not really building emotional resilience. We're just delaying the discomfort. Now the third thing is reacting. When the feeling shows up, we act on it automatically. We let the craving decide for us. It feels like the urge is in the driver's seat and we're just going along for the ride. So those are the three most common patterns I see. Resisting, distracting, or reacting. None of them help us actually retrain the loop. So now that we looked at the common ways people react to urges, resisting, distracting, or reacting, I want to show you the fourth option. This is the one most people will never talk, and honestly, it's the most important one. You can actually just allow the urge. You can learn to feel it without fighting it, without running from it, and without giving into it. That's what I want to walk you through here. The first step in learning how to process a porn urge is to pause and name it. Now when I say pause, I just mean that little moment of awareness where you notice, oh, here it is. There's the urge again. You stop, you check in, and instead of going straight into fight or flight, instead of trying to distract yourself to suppress it, you give it a name. I'm feeling desire right now. This is an urge, this is restlessness, this is that pull to escape. That's all you're doing, just naming it. And no, I don't mean naming it like Bob or Carl. I mean naming the feeling, desire, discomfort, anxiety, tension, pull, whatever fix. It might not feel like a big deal, but I promise this small shift changes everything because now instead of being in the urge, you observing it. You create this space, and that space is the first step to actually retrain your brain. The second thing I do is locate it in my body, and this part is really important because when I say we're going to allow the urge, I don't mean that we stay up in our heads. Remember, the urge is triggered by thoughts, yes, but when we spin in our heads, thinking about why it's here or where it came from. We're not actually feeling it. We analyzing it. So what we want to do instead is get into the body. It might sound something like this. Okay, here's the urge. Where is it in my body? Maybe you feel it in your chest or in your stomach or your throat. Most urges have some kind of central location in the body. And for most people, it's somewhere in the core. So you fight it, you slow down, you notice, oh, it's right here. It's like this tension in my chest, or it feels like this tightness just sitting low in my stomach. Then you describe it, almost like you're trying to explain it to someone who's never felt it before. Is it heavy, buzzing, tight? Is it sharp or dull? Does it move? Does it pulse? Is it fast or slow, warm or cold? You're not trying to fix it or change it. You're just paying attention. You're staying with the urge instead of running from it. You're learning what it's actually like in your body to feel this craving without reacting. And the more you do this, the more familiar it becomes. You stop seeing the urge as the emergency you have to get rid of. You start seeing it as just sensation, just something to notice and observe. The next thing I do is remind myself what the urge actually means, because here's what our brains love to do. They want to assign meaning right away. They want to say, this urge means I'm out of control, or this means I'm weak, this means I'm never going to change, or even this means I need to do something about it right now. But none of that is actually true. Here's what we do know for sure. This urge is coming from thoughts in your brain, that's it. It means your brain has learned to associate something, a feeling, a trigger, a thought, with the promise of relief or reward through porn. That's all we know. There's a sentence in your mind, a story, a memory, a signal. That's what's greeting the urge. And I don't even think you need to figure out what those sentences are right now. You can just remind yourself, my brain is offering me something, and that something is creating this urge. That's all. You don't need to follow it. You don't need to fight it. You can just notice. Here's a story my brain is offering. Here's an old response firing. That's what we're doing here. Becoming someone who doesn't run from the urge, who can feel it, see it for what it is, and keep going. That's real power. Then we repeat. I say repeat because this process isn't something you do once and never feel the urge again. Not at all. Most people worry that if they allow the urge, if they really feel it, it's going to get worse. That it just build and build until they cannot handle it. But that's not what happens. What usually happens is the moment you feel it without resisting, your brain quiets down a little. It's like, okay, they heard me. They got the message. And the urge settles. Sometimes it fades. Sometimes it softens just enough that you can keep going. Now, sure, the thought might come back again 5 seconds later. The craving might rise again. That's normal. You just repeat, oh, here it is again. Same urge, same thought pattern. That's okay. You feel it again. You name it again. You notice the story again. And the more you do this, the easier it gets. In the beginning, it might feel awkward, like you're walking through the steps in your head. But over time, it becomes natural, seamless. You get to the point where you feel the urge rise. You just go, yep, there it is. That burst in my chest, that tingle in my arms, all from this old thought loop. And you keep going with your day. You let the urge come with you. You let it ride in the passenger seat while you go to work, while you study, while you rest. You don't need to get rid of it. You don't need to fight it. You just feel it and you keep moving. Now, if you want to actually track real progress, don't count streaks or clean days. Count urges. That's what we track in the urge practice tracker I mentioned earlier. Every time you process an urge this way, without resisting or reacting, you mark it down. In most cases, once you process 50 to 100 urges without escape, the over-desire starts to collapse. Your brain starts to unlearn the loop. And here's how you measure it. If you sit with an urge for 10 minutes and stay present with it without giving in or checking out. That's one. If it lingers after that and you keep allowing it for another 10 minutes, that's another. Each window of allowance is what counts, not the total business, but the choice to feel it fully and stay with yourself during that window. That's the goal here. You're not trying to be someone who never feels urges. You're learning how to move through them. One last thing I want to touch on, because this question comes up a lot, is if my urges are coming from thoughts and I already know how to look at my thoughts or how to reframe them, then why not just go straight to changing a thought? Why bother feeling it at all? And I get that. If we could just snap our fingers and swap out every unhelpful thought the second it appears, I'd be the first to say go for it. But in reality, that's not how most of us work, especially in the middle of an intense urge. And it's not even necessary. So here's how I looked at it. When the urge shows up, when that emotional pull is rising, I want you to feel it. I want you to pause, breathe, let it move through, let it sit beside you, let it be something you can handle without needing to fix or push it away. Thought work will come later. You can always explore your thoughts once the intensity settles, once your nervous system is calmer and you got little distance. That's when you can look at the story driving the urge without getting swept up in it. But in the moment, you don't need to argue with your brain. You just need to show it that you're safe, that you can feel, and that's what starts to break the loop. Now once you start processing urges like this, you probably think, okay, but what if I still go back to porn? What if I still relapse? Here's the truth most people miss. It's not the relapse that keeps you stuck. It's what you make it mean about yourself. If you keep seeing relapse as proof that you're failing, you keep repeating the same cycle. But there's a way to flip that completely. So every relapse actually helps you move forward faster. And when you change the way you see your relapse, you start changing the way you see yourself, which makes quitting porn a whole lot easier. In my next video, I show you how to do exactly that. Click to watch now.